Okay, today's daf is daf Lamed Hey. We're going to pick up from Lamed Dalet, Amud Beis, the bottom of the Amud. Says, Zeh oimer shel avaisai v'zeh oimer shel avaisai. We have two people, they're both saying it belongs to them. Now, each one saying it belonged to my forefathers, and each one, they're both saying that, and neither one can prove his claim. So Amar Rav Nachman called the Olim Gavar. Whoever is the stronger should prevail. We mentioned this yesterday. The rush that a person is, once he gains possession of it, we don't give it back. And the concept is a person's going to fight much harder. And we went through a little of what called him Gavar. Now let's pick up today. Frak Gemara. So you, Rav Nachman, are holding called Olim Gavar when you have a selfie. Umay shno mishtei shtaris hayotzim b'yoyim echad. So let's clarify this case. As much as the daf is very short, we need to discuss at length what is going on. So what happened was we had two people show up to Bezdin with a proper star. They both say that Ruvain, which was the original Marikama, sold it to him. So we have Shimon and Levi pull up to Bezdin. Shimon pulls up with the star. Good star. Says that Ruvain sold him to star on Shavasa B'Tamas. 5 minutes later, Levi also pulls up the Bezdin with the star. It says, Reuven sold him the star, sold him the Sada on Shavasa B'Tamas.
In other words, one person wrote 2 stars.
One person wrote 2 stars. And more than that, and we're going to be talking about Nani Rishalayim. So we're going to be talking about that, there's a halacha, Ein Sho'is B'Stars. Means that Ein Akdama B'Shois is the Lashon. Ein Akdama B'Shois means to say is, when is a Shavasa B'Tamas? Shkia is 8:30, let's say. When is the star, when is the Mechira kick in? We say at the end of the day. The last minute of the day, that's when it will transfer. Why? They said, the reason is the Rishban brings down, is because since people, over there they would customarily, not on purpose too much, but they would not mention the specific day of the time, we assume that they meant the last part of the day will get delivered. So it comes out that Reuven, Shimon and Levi both have equal schusim in the property. Now, what we're going to see in a moment is, we're understanding that Reuven really had das to give it to one of them. It wasn't that he was trying to make confusion of the world. He really had das to give one of them, and we don't know who was the one he wanted to really gift it to. So there the halacha is, in such a scenario, that Rav would hold, we split up the property. One lamed hayam and off the top of it. Rav says, Shimon doesn't know who, Shimon can't say it belongs to him fully, because Levi has a star, and saying the opposite. So what we have to do is, we have to say echlik. Shmuel Amar, Shuda de Daini. What's the Shuda de Daini mean? So according to the Rishbam, the Dayanim have to do a full analysis. They have to analyze the situation and try to figure out who did Reuven really want to give this Sada to. Right? Because again, we're assuming he wanted to give it to one person. You can look at his history, you can look if maybe he has, we saw this when we were learning Dirshu at night, we saw there's such a thing called Toiva Sana, he has, he's maybe... The relationship, right? We have to look at the whole entire picture and see who does it make more sense that he would have gave it to. However, Taisa says that we don't find such zachin by Shuda. We don't see that Shuda means that concept. Rather, Taisus wants to say, Mr. Fishman, you see, we also mentioned Taisus a little. Taisus wants to say that we're explaining that whoever they desire, Shuda Daini means it's up to Bezdin without attempting to really figure out who it belongs to. So it's machlekes Rishbam and Taisus if they have to do a full analysis. Okay. Now, what's the point of giving it to one of them? Rishbam has explained Shita Shmuel. Why don't you give it to one of them? The answer is the Shmuel held that if you're going to do Yachloiku, you're 100% giving it to the wrong person 50% of the land. So Shmuel had a debate in his head. What's better? Give it 100% to one of them 50%, right? If I split it and one of them for sure is not the owner, then I'm for sure giving someone not a Sada. But the other risk is, it's like a flip of a coin. It's like a little of a stock market type of business. Like, the other risk is, wait a second, that you giving it to one of them, you might also, for sure, be giving it totally. So Shmuel held that option's better. It sounds like it's more of a judgmental decision. What makes, what's more proper. Okay. So that was the machlekes Rav and Shmuel. So the question remains, why did you, Rav Nachman, say Kol Dalam Gavar? We find the scenario by Shtei, Shtar, say Yaitzis B'yai Mechot. This is the case. We see either say like Rabbi Yachlaiku or say Shuda Dedaini. Kol Dalam Gavar is not one of those options. That is the Gemara's question. Fan for the Gemara.
What are you saying? What you just said? It's not one of the options.
What did Rav Nachman hold by Zeh Oy Mishalavaisa v'Zeh Mishalavaisa? You tell me. What did we say in Lamedalim and based the What does it say?
Both say that it's there.
Correct. And we have a suffix. What does Rav Nachman paskin? Kol the Olim Gavar. Whoever is stronger shall prevail. Over here, what are we saying by Shtei Stars? Machlaikis, Rav and Shmuel. Either Yachlaiku or Shuda Dedaini. But is the option of Kol the Olim Gavar in the picture?
What's that?
Kol Dalam Gavar means whoever's stronger, you fight it out. Let you two fight it out. We explained this yesterday. The Mefarshim explained why. It makes more sense that the person who really is going to own it is going to fight harder. We went through that yesterday. That's what Kol Dalam Gavar means. But the question remains, you, Rav Nachman, you just told us, Kol Dalam Gavar, correct? Why over here we see we don't have that option? So what's the difference? A very, very black and white question, the Gemara question. Some fan for the Gemara, we can be mechalek it. Why? Some in the case of a shtei starts the yitzim echad. Leko lemekom Allah lemilsa hacha ika lemekom Allah lemilsa. What's that mean? It means to say is let's break down the case. Right, the case of shtei stars. They're both coming to Bezdin, very innocent. They were like almost shocked to see each other. I pull up the Bezdin with the star, correct? And it says that Reuven sold me the star, sold me the southern. Levi pulls up. Oh, what are you doing here? Oh, look, we have the same star. Now, Reuven died. Let's clarify this. Reuven is gone. So there's no one to question who it belongs to. Right? There's no way to know. So the question, based on these facts, when you pull up the best, could anyone have any way of proving that it went to him more than the other? Now, you could question, I'm thinking now, is maybe we could find out. Maybe there was Adim that he told to Reuven before he died, gave Adim that he said, I'm really planning to give it to Reuven, to Shimon, not to Levi. But I don't think it's really a fair assessment to say there's Adim. It's not really realistic. It's not like something you could really figure out. Lightning might strike, and we might come out that he's Taka has Adim, right? That Reuven, the Baal Asada, really said, I want to give it to Shimon. However, but let's be realistic. Realistically speaking, Shimon and Levi that are in Bezdin, there's no Adis involved. What's the Adis? That you got the star early in the day, it doesn't make a difference, we said. It only sticks by Shkia. So therefore, since it's impossible that the true owner is going to ever find out, therefore we had to make a settlement. Either Yachlaiku, or according to Shmuel had the opinion, he made the decision, it makes more sense to say Shuda Dedaini. However, in the case of Nachman's case, what's the case? Two people are arguing. It's a very highly possible witnesses. Truth will eventually prevail, right? We ever heard that? Truth is going to come out. Someone here is lying, right? Someone decided to take advantage of a situation.
It could also be, but it seems to me that Reuven may have screwed both of them.
Correct. That's really what's going on. Is that Reuven, we don't really know what happened. What we don't really understand. Really, what was Reuven thinking? He made a mistake. He forgot he gave it to what happened. So that's part of the problem, is we have no way of really finding out what happened. Okay. It's very hard to analyze what really happened. Okay. Right, the Lashon Rishbam is Aval by Shmuel. The Lashon Rishbam is Bevade Echon Not Lachetzi Shalai Kedin. Let me. Oh, I actually have it on me. Oh, yeah. The cover fell off. Might have totally dried. It's in my pocket. Right? That's Shmuel's concept. Okay. Now, to point out one other point is, Rishbam says that ain't echad muchzuk mechaverei. Rather, we're talking about a scenario where there's no muchzuk, because once we have a muchzuk, we come into hamaitzi mechaverei, olav haraya. So it's also very crucial to understand.
What's a muchzuk?
Muchzuk means you're holding on to the property. You're holding on to something. You're a muchzuk.
Doing that,
No, they're holding on to a star. But if one of them was a muksuk on the property, he put his stuff there and everything.
He was living on it.
He's living on it. Then avada vavada hamaitzi mechaveri olav aray. So again, we gave a very clear distinction between one is able to prove it and one is not. Okay. The Gemara questioned this based on another Mishnah. We're going to find the Mishnah in the Gemara in Bava Tzia Daf Kuf. It talks about chalipin. Does everyone know what chalipin is?
Exchange.
It's an exchange. It's like a barter. Is that you get my cow, I'll get your donkey. The mila with chalipin works is that we could be in this room. Julie, you bring me your cow. Your donkey is in your room, upstairs, wherever you are. We exchange at the second.
How do you know that I have animals in my room?
I figured. Okay. Now, I pull this donkey. The second I pull this donkey, the cow that's in your room belongs to me. Second, you take my donkey, I get your cow. I don't need to be in the same place. We pull up to the room. I'm going to say the case outside. We pull up to the room. The cow gave birth. Now, we don't know when it happened. Let's be clear. I only went to your room a day or two later. I see a little baby in there. Cow gave birth. So the question really becomes, when did that cow give birth? Now it's 10:15 around. If it gave birth before 10:15, the cow belongs to you, right? It was your cow. The baby, the calf belongs to you. It's yours. If, however, I did the barter, and then whatever time later, that's on the line, later it gave birth, and it belongs to me, because that's when the barter took place. However, I tell you each one, it's like almost like in sports, all teams say it's one the other way, right? They're both tiny. No, it was out of bounds, right? I'm saying it was before it gave birth, and you're saying it was afterwards. So we're both having an argument if it gave. When did it give birth? So the halacha is, we're going to see in a second, that it's yachloiku. We don't know what to do, but you go to Bezin, in such a scenario, the Mishnah Daf Kuf says, yachloiku. We're not going to go shita sumchus. We're going to go to basic shita sarbanan is yachloiku. So let's see it inside. You, Rav Nachman, you're telling me the case of Zem Shalavaisa, the called Nalan Gavar. Why is it different than the case of a machle para v'chamar? If one exchanges a cow for a donkey v'yalda, and then it gave birth, right? Now, it was discovered Mamish the scenario gave birth, and we don't know who it gave birth to. Now, it's very crucial to understand.
Does it matter if they know if the cow was pregnant?
No, it doesn't make a difference. We know the cow is pregnant. It's not a secret. No, everyone knew it was pregnant.
Okay.
But
the actual timing.
We don't know the actual timing. Right?
When the calf was born.
When the calf was born, right? So again, this is only really applicable by a case of chalipin, a case of barter. However, if it's for money, there's no real question, because you need to do a mashicha. So you would know by then. Okay, that's what the Rishban brings out. So this is what's going on. Same type of scenario. This is not talking about a chalipin. It's a straightforward sale. Now, avadim huksha lakaka, they can be bought with money, not like other metaltal. Therefore, you don't even have to be physically present by the transaction, and you could buy Reuven's shivcha, the slave. Okay, so the ownership was transferred. Now we don't know when she gave birth. Was it before Antichimit's possession, or rather it was afterwards? So it's the exact same suffix. Right? The seller says, no, it gave birth before I sold it. The buyer says, no, it gave birth after I bought it, so it's a bari v'bari. And therefore, what do? Yachlaiku. We don't have a choice. We have to divide it. Again, we have to be talking about the Gemara in Bava Tzia talks about already that it's not in a case where it's a muchsuk. You have to say it gave birth in the agam, the Gemara in Bava Tzia says, where it gave birth in public, in the street. Otherwise, you would have a problem of a maitzi mechavei olav. Again, so it's the same question. Why do we see from the Mishnah over there, even in an instance where it's impossible to find out? We just said, by the case of Shnei Shtaris, since it's not possible to find out, we don't say Kol Dam Gavar, right? Sorry, in the case where it's possible to find out, we say Kol Dam Gavar. Only the case of Shnei Shtaris, we say Echlaiku. Now, the question over here is, in this scenario, if Adam would pull up and said, we saw the baby gave him birth, especially if you have to remember, let's make it even easier for the mayach to understand. Where was this baby when it gave birth, this cow or this maid? You know where it was? It was in Rosh Hashanah or Agam. It was not in his private house. So if it was in Rosh Hashanah, to make it easy to understand, is it very highly likely there were people there? And they say, we know exactly what time it was. We saw the clock. It happened at 10, 15, and 45 seconds.
They had a sun clock.
They had a sun clock, right? They were able to see it on the wall. They had everything. They knew exactly when it was. So again, could Adam show up and find out? So why over there we're saying, like you Rav Nachman just told me a minute ago, in a scenario we could find out, we say, call Dolan Gavar. Bomb question. And that Gemara answers as follows. There's a difference. One lamed hammer base, again, it's a very small daf, only 6 lines. Hasam lahai isle drora de memayna velahu isle drora de mayna hacha I demar loy demar vi demar loy demar. What's that mean? Just the first explanation, the Taich words means isle drora de money is a very clear-cut case to the money, and he has a clear-cut case to the money. Therefore, you have to make a machlekes. Therefore, you have to do something, but you can't walk off. Shenken or Nachman either belongs to Zay Mishal Avaisa or belongs to the Shimon that's saying Zay Mishal Avaisa. You have no choice. Therefore, we're not going to have to rule and paskin Hamaitzi Mechavel Arayo or call them Yachlaiku or Shuma. Rather, we're going to say call them Gavar. So let's explain first of all what is going on. There's a machlekes, first of all, how to understand Kol Dom Gavar. Let's take it at a very draw the money. Let's take it at a very basic level. What's happening over here? Is there any question, let's go to the case of the birth. Is there any question that both parties involved have what to do with the mother? There's no question about it. Reuben was the seller. Shimon was the buyer. But they both, for sure, involved in the mother. The mother's chalik of ownership is undisputed, right? We sold it. Now, therefore, the Gemara wants to say you have a clear-cut claim, something that can make sense to the offspring. Okay? Therefore, since you for sure had a part in the ownership of the mother, now the question really becomes, the kid is a chalik of the mother. That's really why the sale happens. So since you have, both parties have a real claim to the mother, therefore we have no choice but to get involved. There's no Ramayim over here. Masha'en came, the scenario of Zay Mishal Avaisai. Chaim, imagine you really owned your field your whole entire life. It belonged to your Zaydis. Suddenly someone else pulls up and starts saying it's his. Does he have anything involved over here, or he's a regular scammer? He's a ganif.
Yes.
He doesn't belong in the conversation. That Rav Nachman says, call Dolan Gavar. Since we believe that you're truly the real owner, is going to fight harder. We say, you know what? Go fight it out. Masha'en Cain, once we have to get into step one. Step one means we have no choice but to understand that you both have a valid claim regarding the mother, right? That's really what you both is undisputed. Just the kids of Hemshech, we don't have a choice but to say achlik. That's how the Rashbam wants to say this.
Somehow, I would expect that if the buyer knew that the cow was expecting, it would be his, because you could say that he's buying because of the offspring.
So the Rishonim, when we learn the sugya of a machlif par b'chamar, there's many questions. Why do you say cheskes aguf? You could say more than that. You could have a lot of chazakas pushing one way or the other. But yes. Okay. So that was one explanation of the Rashbam. Either by Machlef Par Chamar, his Lashon Rashbam was Ishlu Drar the Maina. Why? Shapara Vashivcha Shel Shneim Haisa B'Zach Hazeh. Therefore, they had a concept. Mashaim came, Idemar Loy Demar, Zokter Rashbam, Loy Haisa Karka Shalidach Ma'ilam. He's nothing. He has nothing to do with this dispute. He doesn't belong here. He's a regular Ganim. That's one Mahalach. Okay, this was the concept of the Rashbam learning. However, Taisus as a different Mahalach had to explain Jordan Maina. The way I always learned it when I learned in Yeshiva, I explained it with 2 words. A car accident. Car accident. What's that mean? What happens, everyone here, we go outside, we see 2 cars smashed into each other. Both of the people are unfortunately deceased. Do you have a suffix automatically in your head? Who's at fault? By default, you have a suffix, correct? When you go outside, you see 2 cars smashed, everybody deceased. Do you have a suffix who's at fault? Sometimes you can find out when there's a stop sign one way, you can start making your judgments. But do you automatically create yourself a suffix?
Yeah.
Yes. You don't know? You don't
I
have a
would say
suffix?
that if, like you say, if it's going in the wrong way.
You don't see, no, I'm talking about two people in a parking lot, they're smashed. You have a suffix, what happened?
Oh, no.
You have a suffix, you don't know what's what. That's Taisus Mahalcha Draw the money. Draw the money means it creates a suffix on its own. There's no need for you, Julie, to start opening your mouth and telling us what happened to create a suffix. This pen is in my pocket. Right? It's on me. Do I have a suffix who it belongs to? It belongs to me. I'm holding on to it's on my shirt. You come and start saying it belongs to me and I have witnesses. By you opening your mouth, you can maybe establish a doubt in the situation. But before anyone talking, that's what draw the money means. Lashon Taisus is the dol tanai sayu mihacha. Take away anybody's tainas. Still yesh suffix lebezdin. That is Taisus is punchline. Even if you take their away their tainas, it's still a suffix. Okay. So it's the same thing over here. When you walk into the room, Julie, and you see the calf gave birth, let's make it even in a scenario case where no one's tining anything. We're being very realistic. We're trying to be very reasonable. We didn't realize we made a mistake. We didn't realize the birth it's going to give birth so quick. I sold you the calf at 10:30. I pull up 3 days later, gave birth. And we're both reasonable people. Do we both have a suffix when it gave birth? We don't know when. So therefore, Zok Gemara is the way Taisus is understanding. Even without your tenasaihu, even without your tenasaihu, without your tainas, we have a suffix. Bezdin cannot withdraw. Can't say kol nagavar. We have no choice but to say yachleiku. Mesha'in Cain, in the case of Nachman, the only reason why we have a suffix about property is because you're both opening your mouths. Since you guys fighting it out, both opening your mouths, we cancel each other and say continue on and go fight it out. That was the Gemara's answer. Idamar, loy demar. Okay. Rashbam does go into Inami. We're not going to go into that Inami now. That the question is not so much on Yechlaiku, the question is on more on Shmuel, that how could you pass Shu that we see over there, Yechlaiku, it's not so much on Kol Nom Gavar, but we're not going to discuss that. Let's go weiter. Zok the Gemara, Amri Nahardoi, and Ba Echad Min Hashuk. What happens? Someone comes from the street, now, he took advantage of a situation. Very cunning individual. He saw two people fighting. And each one saying it belongs to him. You know what he did? He took advantage of the situation and he hops in. The court does not extract it from its possession. Even though, what's the chiddush? Even though he has no claim on the property, he's admitting that he took advantage. He still is able to stay there. Now, why?
He's able to what?
He's able to stay on the karka. Usually, we know. If you have no claim why you own this property, you must get out. However, over here, he knows that both of them don't have rayas that it belongs to them, right? That's the whole argument. So he comes and he says, you know what, let me take advantage. He hops and says, I'm taking it. So either none of them who are fighting can prove it that it belongs to them, therefore they cannot kick him out of the land. That was Rashbam. However, Taisus understands it a little differently, that we assume that we in fact are willing to accept it belongs to either one of the two people arguing, no one else. However, the halacha is only the real owner can knock you out of my land. Only the owner has the right to kick you out. Since neither one can prove himself that he's the real owner, we have no choice but to not let you kick him out. It's a very geshmak. This guy is very smart. He's taking advantage of a very weak situation. He saw right away that these two people can't prove it. Goes my land. I'm taking it. No. Why am I doing it? Because I could.
And he's saying what then?
He's saying I'm taking advantage of the situation. You can't kick me out because prove it to me it's yours. We find that by Niyam the Gemara.
And he certainly has nothing to prove, the third fellow.
He's not proving. He's not looking to prove. He's admitting that he's taking advantage of the situation. That's the chiddush. Okay.
So what?
The way the Rashbam learns it is that since both of you don't have a raya, so who are you to even get involved? Maybe it belongs to anybody.
They were showing. Why is he? Taisus calls it. They were showing. Why are they were showing?
Where are you coming from? Which lashon? The afilu kos narishon harsha'a zel is a hayil. Oh, hayil v'rishoyim hey ein iskakim lehem.
Why are they were showing? But at this point, we don't know who's right. But we don't. But you can't call them showing. I don't know why was that.
Is it going in this?
Isn't he going on this Gemara?
It sounds like it. Hold on.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Well.
Maybe you could say they are Rishayim because they're liars. Both of them have. He's saying only one of them is really lying. One of them is lying. Okay, asking a very good question. Okay, let's see. Maybe tomorrow I'll have something to let you know. Okay, let's go back. Okay. Now, the Tanya of Chia, where do we find such a concept? Gazlan shel rabim lab shmei gazlan. One who steals in the public is not considered a robber. The hainu means to say is you can't force him to return the item, right? It doesn't mean public as in a usual sense, which means a rabbim. Rather, it means a scenario specifically that since we pass and call Dolan Gavar, anybody could come and grab it away. Okay.
Well, it becomes hefker.
It's not hefker chas v'shalom. He really is a ganif. But he can't be forced to return it because who is he? No one has a proof, right? So it's very easy, unfortunately, for a mafiosi or a tough, cunning person to take advantage
of the situation.
Of the situation, exactly what's going on. They're taking advantage of what's going on. However, Rav Ashi Amar no, la'olam shmei gazlan. You must get out of the property. We don't know who it belongs to. Rav Ashi held like we just said in Taisus, that it for sure we're assuming that it for sure belongs to one of them. Therefore, the only two people that have a schus is them two. Therefore, you must get out. Okay. Oh, my loy shmei gazlan. What's it mean, loy shmei gazlan? What was that lashon? He's not considered a robber. Shaloi nita lishavain. The other way around. He's in a worse position. He can't even give it. A regular ganev, what happens if a person steals? How do I do? Hashavas akzela. The Hashavas akzela. Maybe we'll do tshuva by returning it to you. However, over here you made it worse. But the second you got your hand sticky, you have a chiv of Hashavas akzela, and you can never do it. So it comes out, loy nita l'shavan, forever and ever. You're never going to be able to do. Give it back. Now you could question. I don't understand something for Dershba. Wait a second. Madach beforehand it didn't belong to any. We don't know who it belonged to. So why by me taking the land suddenly I make it worse than the situation before? Let me let go of the property. Why am I Goslin? You two people are fighting over this table. I took the table. I said, you know what? You guys are right. I shouldn't have taken it. I'm leaving it back to where it was. Now that I took it, go back to square one. Why am I considered Goslin? So the answer is that once you pick up the table and it doesn't belong to you, you automatically get a trigger. The Torah triggers you to do what? Chiv of the Hashavas akzela. That trigger is irreversible. It's not let me go back to the original situation, letting go and let them fight over it. The second you got your finger sticky, which you never should have, the second you stole an object, you have a chiv of the Hashavas akzela, and you must return it. You can say the same thing about other stuff. Let's say someone leaves something over here, and you take it, the Hashavas akzela, and now you're mechuyt to find out who the owner is, right? Let's say it says the name sticker on it. It says Cohen. You steal a guy's wallet. It says Cohen, credit card Cohen. There's two Cohens here. They're both saying it's theirs. You'll never ever be able to do tshuva of liishavin. Okay. We find this the loinita liishavin also by people when they steal from measurements, right, from a rabbim. The fish store has the wrong scale. They'll never be able to do tshuva. Okay, let's start the next concept. What are the two doubts? Cheska shal shanim is miyom liyon. However, there's an exception to this rule that you don't need a chazaka for 3 years. Amar Ab Abba, Idalilehiu Gufe, son of the Peri. If he's able to produce witnesses that this Ma'ir, the Marikama, was helping him load the basket full of produce onto the Muchzik's shoulders, La'alter have chazak. It's immediately proven that it belongs to him and he doesn't need to wait 3 years. The reason is, if it was really true that a person was in your karka illegally, would you in the world go help him steal from you? No way. So that's the biggest haidah, it's the biggest admission possible to show that avada, you really sold it to him. However, very crucial to understand, Amar Zvid throws in, Vimtan v'amar lepeis arativ, nema. It means to say is avada, he's able to say, yeah, you know why I helped him? Because he was my sharecropper, he deserved it. He got the produce. He gets a quarter, shlish, reviya, mechsa, whatever you get, so therefore I helped him, but avada belongs to me. And therefore, again, he has no chazak, he has no 3 years. Therefore, he's able to believe, avadis believed, and without a chazak, he not nema. Mahani mili b'tach shalish. Let's clarify this. This is only during the first 3 years where he has no chazak. However, there you should have protested and said that what? That all he is a sharecropper, and therefore he has a chazaka. Okay. Question is, Rav Ashi's asking of Kahana. I don't understand. Let's say he's taka sharecropper for 5 years. What am I supposed to do? What do you want me to do? How am I protecting myself that after 3 years he's going to go and say that he purchased the field? Right? We're understanding, and challenger is not believed to assert, right? How do you ever stop yourself from an aris after 3 years of passing saying it belongs to him? Now, Rav Ashi is not disputing that it takes 3 years. Before 3 years, he could tie as a sharecropper will be believed. The question is, after 3 years, you'll automatically get a chazaka. So what's going to stop him? My answer is, the chiddush is, he should have protested. What should have the protestant been? He should have said, Rabbi, I'm letting everybody know that he was on the karka. It's not illegal, but all he is a sharecropper. Okay? And that's what would have helped. What are we trying to accomplish by saying Eloi Temahachi? We're trying to say a concept as follows. Maybe you'll tell me, wait a second. Think about it. Let's take a step back in the picture. Imagine I bought this karka legitimately. I bought the karka. Suddenly I hear a rumor in the streets going on. Remember, he didn't even tell me directly. He tells me I hear a rumor going around that what? Reuven's saying that I'm only a sharecropper. And imagine I bought it. Why in the world would I even listen to that rumor if you think about it? All Reuven's saying is a sharecropper. If he had the guts, he would tell me I'm a ganif. If we're talking about a scenario where I really bought it, then he should say I'm a ganif.
Does he have any proof that he bought it?
Oh, he has the star.
Oh, yeah.
Let's clarify this. He has the star, but he feels that the guy wasn't serious. He was maybe testing the water. He had no real guts. If he had guts, he would have said, I'm a goslin. So you know what? After eventually, I didn't take his threat seriously. What did I do? You know what I did, Julie? I threw out the star after many years. I forgot about it. I didn't take him seriously. Why? Because he didn't have the guts to say I'm a goslin. If Louis I really bought it. On that, we're showing us, right? We're going to show us the what? What's the Eloi Temach? It's coming to show us that even a taina, such a taina, helps. The second that a person opens their mouth and starts causing issues, you have to hold on to the shtar. Where do we see this? We see this in the Mashkanta de Surah. Right? We all know what a Mashkanta de Surah is. We explain it. We'll explain it again very quickly outside. Mashkanta de Surah is, we saw this at the end of Bamitzia, or even beginning of middle of Bamitzia already. Mashkanta de Surah it was a place of Syria, that was the place, and the way they used to do it, a loan was as follows. The Torah forbids us to lend interest, beribis. You're not allowed to take a sada as a mashkin and say, oh, you'll get the produce as a credit for lending me $1 million. Torah says that's ribis. So what did they do in Surah? They used to pay a flat rate. I lent you $1 million. I'm going to give you this field for 10 years. Every year, it could produce up to even $250,000. You're going to pay me a flat rate fee every year of $100,000. I might produce $250,000. The answer is it's mutter. You know why? Because there's a suffix. Some years it could be bad crop. You're not going to even get your 100. You'll get your 80. You'll get your 50. Some years 250. That's a regular business model. So therefore, every year you'll get flat rate fee. $100,000 of the loan gets deducted. After 10 years, the field goes back to me. That was the way they used to do this loan for $1 million. So it was called the mashkanta the surah. Okay, it was in the place in Bavel, surah. Therefore, it's called the mashkanta. The kasabahu. What does the bond say? B'mishlam shenaya iling. Eventually, after these 10 years, whatever the years were, tepakar double like if it goes back to the original owner without money, because every year it was a flat rate fee of getting the doc, right? It was paid off. Okay, so ikavishle now for the Gemara, a simple question. What's stopping the lender from taking the shtar after 3 years, right? Throwing it out. Say, I bought it. I don't know what you're talking about. It's my field. So how in the world? That can be. Because he has no problem after 3 years throwing it out and saying that what? It's mine. And Lu Yitzur, you're going to tell me that the machal, I have an easy solution, Zok Gemara. You know what you should do? You should make a machal, then it's a mashkanta the surah. Now, didn't we just question a minute ago? Maybe if a person, in the case over here, if I really bought the karka and all you tell me is I'm a sheer crop, it's not a good machal, then you could do the same thing by the mashkanta the surah. The Lu Yitzur, I really bought a karka. Imagine people were going around, the owner was saying, it's only a mashka the surah. If it's really true that it's not a good machonik established a chazaka, that can be. Misaknu Rabbana Midi, the Asilip Pseita. It can't be that Rabbanan will cause something that could cause an unfair loss. Elamai, the biggest proof is that Zaktar Rashbam, that Avada, you could make a protest. What's your protest? That it's a mashkanta the surah. And therefore, if it's not true and you really own the land, you'll hold on to the shtar forever. So too by us. When you buy the field and the guy's saying, he's only a sharecropper, the second a person opens up his mouth, even if he says not the strongest argument, you hold on to your shtar. So too in our field, I said it outside, he should have been Meich. Okay, we're going to start to next sugya a little, and tomorrow we're going to get into the lot more amkas. But let's continue till involve a little on top. It was a very small daf. We have a few more minutes. Here we're going to discuss a case. The next ruling of Yehuda is a case where even after 3 years you don't have a chazak. What's the case? Rav Yehuda Rav Yisrael haba machmas ovid kechavim hareu ka'ovid chachav. That means a person bought. I own this land. I'm Reuven. I come over to you after 5 years. I say, Shimon, what are you doing in my car? He says, what do you mean? I bought it from John the guy. The second he says I bought it from John the guy, we're going to see in a minute that he's not saying John the guy bought it from you. He said, I don't know. John the guy sold me this karka. The halach is, even though you were in this karka for more than 3 years, you don't have a chazak. And the reason is that a guy himself doesn't have a chazak. Let's take a step back. John the guy is sitting on a karka for 15 years. Does he have a chazak? He bought it from Reuven? The answer is no. You know why? Especially in those days, people were afraid of Goyim. If a guy just walked into my land, the local pirates just sat on the karka, you were in a pickle because you didn't want to open your mouth. You were hoping eventually he's going to walk off. So just like we're saying, a guy comes into your karka, he doesn't have a chazaka. Who then when you come from the guy doesn't have a chazaka? And the chiddush is that the guy, think about it. I'm going to say this outside. The guy bought a car. The guy took away your karka and he sells it to Reuven, right? If Reuven is gonna, if Shimon the Marakam is gonna open his mouth against Reuven, what is Reuven gonna do? Who bought the karka? He's gonna go back to the parts, and you sold me a scam, right? It wasn't yours. The parts, it's gonna go back to the original owner and beat him up. The same reason why he was afraid to open his mouth. Like Atchila, Elamai, we're talking about a weak guy. So just like I'm afraid of the guy, I'm afraid of the person who bought it from the guy. Now, therefore, what? Yisrael haba machmas ovid kechavim Hereu kechavim, that what? Ma oivik kechavim ein loy chazaka lebishtar. Just like a guy. Could he have a chazaka? No. The only proof is a document. Af Yisrael haba machmas oivik kechavim ein loy chazaka elo bishtar. It's a very simple concept. Just like, right, we learned the Memal from Al, we're going to learn it, we mentioned this many, many times. Kol chazak sheni v'taina ina chazak. We're not arguing if you were in this karka for more than 3 years. There's no argument. The problem is that your taina, you're admitting you don't know how John got it. You're just saying I bought it from John. So that itself is not a good taina. Right? Now, you're going to tell me the guy has a chazak, he was there for more than 3 years, and he's able to produce witnesses that he was more for 3 years. It still doesn't help, like we just said. A guy can never have a chazaka, only bishtar. So the only way you as a yid who bought it from a guy, you should have held on to the record of land of sale, that what? That the guy bought it from the Yisrael. However, if you cannot produce that document that John, you're supposed to ask John. John goes over and sells you a karka. You say, John, show me that shtar that you bought it from Reuven. Only then, and you should hold on to that shtar. You say, part of the sale is I want a copy of that shtar. Only then, Dr. Eshbam, you're able to prove it. Okay. However, just to bring out one last point, Avadav, we're talking about a scenario where the person currently, the yid, had it for more than 3 years, and he says that I saw the shtar in my own eyes, he's nema with a migu. Migu, he could have said, I just bought it from you. So it's very crucial. So it has to be that he doesn't have a taina. But the second he says, I saw it or I watch you buy it, then avada, it's going to work. Okay. And more than that, we have another question that Rashbam decides to throw in. We learned earlier on Lamed Amud Beis that as long as a person can bring a raya that the original owners had it for one day, it shifts the establishment of what we think. We say, you're not the Marikam anymore. As long as I'm able to produce witnesses, I bought it from Shimon and he was there for one day, we saw this on Rashbam Lamed Amud Beis, then it works. So the question is, why in our scenario, the logic should say, also with the guy, I'm able to produce witnesses, I bought it from the guy. What do you want from me? Zok Rashbam, the only time we can say, what do you want? The reason why, so what's the reason why we say one day works? Because we have a fear, if I buy from honest, trustworthy Jew, I'm not expected to know how he got it. I don't have to, today we have such thing called titles for a reason. It comes really from the guy, right? We have a title agencies that really do their research, that's the whole point. But we're talking about Yidden, I'm not obligated, I come, you Reuven sell to me, I'm not obligated to think how he got it. As long as he was living there for a day. And it establishes. Dr. Rashbam, with that reasoning we can understand with the guy not. With a guy, you should always be suspicious that he's holding on to illegally. Therefore, you should have demanded, show me the shtar. And by you not asking to show him the shtar, you took the risk. And therefore, you don't have a chazak if you throw out the shtar. However, Amar Rava, just one last point. We Amar Yisrael, we're going to start Lamed Vav, we'll pick up from here. He's believed as long as the guy says, yeah, if he claims that the guy told him that he bought it from the Yid, he's mehemen. Okay, because why? Because he could have easily said that what? I bought it from you, so he has a migu. So the Frek Gemara, I don't understand that. That makes no sense, right? Which is everyone's question should be raising. Very nice. Who cares that the guy told him? The guy's a liar, right? What does it help me saying I bought it from the guy? Does that make sense to you? How can he be believed? What are you saying? I bought it from the guy? So what? The guy told me that he bought it from you. Is the guy a liar? Yes or no? The guy's the biggest liar, so what's the help? And that the Gemara says no. It doesn't make sense. If the guy himself is not believed, what's the help saying, the guy told me? So what if the guy told me? The guy's a liar. What gives you a tainus? No. Amar Yisrael, the Yisrael saying, I saw him buy from you, and then I bought it as Amneli, Mehemen, Migudi by Amala, Nazavitamina. It means to say is, I saw you, the guy buy from you, I saw him give you the cash. On that Avada, you have a Migu to say that he bought it from him, and Yetz Hashem, tomorrow we're going to pick up the top of Lamed Vav.